everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. As we move into these final weeks of 2021, the world is getting crazier. It seems like everything is becoming more conflicted and less stable by the day. Markets are becoming increasingly volatile, the risk of war between major powers seems to be on the rise, and assets that you would think would do well in the face of all of this uncertainty have tanked in the past week. Bitcoin got smacked down last week. Right now, it's sitting back under the $50,000 level. Silver and gold, at the time I'm recording this, just got smacked down a few minutes ago. Silver is back under $22 an ounce. Now, if you ask me, all of these assets are screaming fire sale deals after these drops, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a few minutes. And I'm going to show you guys some bullion that I just picked up, a really nice premium bar, and I'm going to tell you where you can get these bars at a great price, so stick around. But first, let's talk a bit more about what's going on the world stage at the moment. In case you haven't heard, we might be going to war with Russia. The Russian military has been massing troops on the border of Ukraine, and President Joe Biden has decided that now is a good time to take a really tough stance against Vladimir Putin. Now, I suspect that this has more to do with him needing something, anything, to boost his flagging approval numbers, sort of a wag the dog type of situation. It wouldn't be the first time a leader with declining domestic popularity has used a military conflict to boost approval numbers. And really, I think that picking a fight with Russia over Ukraine at this point is a really bad move for the US. The point of contention is that Russia has asked that Ukraine not join the NATO military alliance. And to me, at least, this doesn't seem entirely unreasonable. Ukraine is right up against the Russian border. Imagine for a minute if Canada or Mexico was thinking of entering into a military alliance with China or Russia. How would we react? And, this analogy really doesn't even do the situation justice, because no one has ever invaded the U.S. mainland since 1812, but it wasn't that long ago that the Wehrmacht's panzers were rolling through Ukraine as part of Operation Barbarossa. And that, of course, was the start of Nazi Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union in World War II. A war, by the way, in which 25 million Russians died. And compare that to U.S. casualties in the war of 418,000, just to put things in perspective. So, the Russians kind of have good reason to be paranoid about foreign military alliances butting up against their borders. And if you don't think that the risk of conflict here is that serious, you should take a look at what Senator Wicker from Mississippi, who, by the way, is on the Senate Armed Services Committee, has been saying about the situation. This guy says that all options should be on the table, including U.S. ground troops in Ukraine, and possibly even the first use of tactical nuclear weapons. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, Ukraine is not really worth the lives of U.S. soldiers, and it's definitely not worth risking a global nuclear holocaust. Call me crazy, but that math just does not seem to add up to me. Now, what makes this hawkish stance against Russia even more foolish, in my opinion, is that it takes our attention and capabilities away from the real threat to the U.S., Communist China. Because if we get involved in a war in Europe, the first thing China is going to do is to take advantage of the situation and invade Taiwan. And I don't even know what comes out of Ukraine as far as exports. I think they grow a lot of wheat. But Taiwan makes 63% of the world's semiconductors. And if we lose Taiwan, or Taiwan gets devastated in some kind of an invasion, the shortages that we have been experiencing for the past year and change are going to look like absolute child's play. It will be incredibly harmful to the US and the world economy, and an incredible windfall for Xi Jinping and the CCP if they take Taiwan. And, it's not just Taiwan. China is now making plans for its first naval base in the Atlantic on the West African coast in the tiny country of Equatorial Guinea, which has close ties with China. And that is a much bigger threat to U.S. national security than not having Ukraine join NATO. Russia has a relatively tiny economy and is a regional power at best. Sure, they've got a lot of nukes, but that goes back to that somewhat justified paranoia left over from the Second World War. China is a rising power, and they have global military aspirations. But of course, what does all of this have to do with silver anyway? Well, if we get involved in another or perhaps multiple military conflicts, especially against major powers like Russia or China, it is going to cost an absolute ton of money. War is literally one of the most expensive endeavors a nation can set out on, and I don't know if you realize this, but the US is already broke. As if the massive domestic spending programs the current administration is putting into place won't rack up debt fast enough, war will absolutely turn the debt and currency creation to an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10. In fact, historically, one of the best ways to kick off a hyperinflation is to get embroiled in a war. Look at Weimar Germany following World War I, or Hungary following World War II, or even the bubble of the Roaring Twenties in the US following World War I, which ultimately culminated in the Great Depression. War is unpredictable, and if we get involved in some kind of conflict, there's no guarantee that we're going to come out on top. But one thing is for sure, we are going to print the dollar into oblivion regardless of who winds up being the victor. So the drop in silver and gold, even the drop in cryptos, I think that these should be viewed as opportunities to accumulate money outside of the fiat monetary system. The dollar is already pretty long in the tooth as far as fiat currencies go. And there's no doubt in my mind that if we get involved in a major military conflict, that will prove to be the final nail in the dollar's coffin. Now, I mentioned that I had picked up some silver recently, and this is what I'm talking about. This nice half-kilo bar from Germania Mint. And as far as silver bars go, this is definitely a premium product. Each bar comes in a nice box, and you see it's got the weight and type of bar on it. And then also each bar is shrink wrapped to keep your bullion looking nice and shiny. So this is one bar that you can handle without gloves, and it's still going to continue to look really great well into the future. And also each bar has its own unique serial number. So a lot of very nice features on this bar. Now I picked this up from herobullion.com, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way. Actually I heard about them because in one of the live streams I was doing a few weeks ago, some of you guys mentioned them to me. So I checked out their site and I was looking to buy a silver bar. And this was honestly the best deal I could find on bullion for a bar that is, not generic. As much as I love these generic Eagle bars, I'm going to go ahead and say that this Germanian mint bar with a box, a shrink wrap, a holographic seal on the back, and a serial number is a nicer bar than these generic Eagles. I basically got this for the same price over at Hero Bullion that SD Bullion was selling these generic bars for. And if you look around on some of the dealer websites, APMEX and SD Bullion, just to name a few, they do carry these Germania Mint bars, but they have them priced with a significant premium. But over at Hero Bullion, they had very reasonable prices on these, just a few bucks over spot. And these bars come in a couple of different sizes. I think they've got 5 ounce, 10 ounce, half kilo, 100 gram, and then 1 kilogram bars. And they may have a few others as well. And if you order them in quantity, they even send you like a nice mint box. It just depends on the quantity and the size, but I only ordered one. Wasn't making a big purchase, but if you do get a couple of these together, they do come with some nice mint packaging. So definitely a premium product, and one that I think if you're doing some stacking, you might want to take a look at. And with the recent drop that we've had in the price of bullion today alone, it may be a little bit difficult to find some bullion in stock. I'm not sure if Hero Bullion still has these in stock at the moment, but I'm sure they'll be getting them back if they are sold out. I know some of the sizes were sold out when I picked this up, but it seems like they're kind of getting them in and out of stock, kind of like a lot of products today with supply chain shortages and whatnot. And none of this is investment advice, of course. You guys know that. I'm just telling you what I am doing. But if you do want some advice, one thing I will say is go do your own due diligence, do some homework. And if all of your wealth is in fiat-denominated digital assets, I do strongly recommend that you at least look at some of the alternatives and ways to diversify. With all of the uncertainty going on in the world right now, I think that this end of 2021 is really just a preview of what 2022 is going to be like. I think there will be increased uncertainty, more destabilizing events around the globe. Who knows what's going to happen with markets? I mean, silver could continue to drop. I would view that as more of a buying opportunity because none of the fundamentals have changed, folks. The dollar, I think that the writing is on the wall as far as the ultimate fate of the dollar. and I am very happy to have at least some wealth in a physical form with no counterparty risk. And if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see some more videos about silver bullion, then check these out right here. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.